Hi everyone, today we are going to look at how to implement static routing on Cisco routers. So why the routing is required? First of all, the routing is required to send or to route traffic between different networks. Say suppose here I have a network, the loopback 1.1.1.1 is located in R1, located behind R1 and wants to communicate a server or any system located in R3 network, which is 3.3.3 network. So how can I send traffic between these two? How can I communicate between 1 dot network and 3 dot network? So we can use routing protocols, the dynamic routing protocols, or we can use the static routing. The use of static routing is it's actually low CPU utilization, and also the disadvantage of this is the scalability. So you cannot scale uh, your networks, and also a lot of administrative overhead. Okay, so now we are just going to look at uh, how we can configure R1, R2 and R3. I think here I'm using GNS3, which is open source. So here my R1. So I'm just going to configure all the interface IP addresses that I have with me. All the interfaces IP addresses like fast Ethernet 0/0, 0/0 of R2 and 0/1 of R2 and 0/0 of R3. So for easy understand, I'm going to give the IP address between R1 and R2 is 12 network, and router 2 and router 3 is with 23 network. And the loopbacks I am going to create is 1 dot loopback 1 on R1 and loopback 2 with this IP on R2 and loopback 3 dot network with R3. So now let me just configure these things. I'm just configure an interface IP address for fast Ethernet 0/0. The IP address is 12.1.1. Here I mentioned, like, I didn't mention the IP address, just the network. Here I am going to use /30 network, so I can use two IP addresses usable, and one is network address and one is broadcast address. So I'm going to use for R1 I'm going to use 1, R2 2. Here also same thing for R2 2 and R3 3, just for naming and understanding easily. 255.255.0, and I'm doing no shut. Now you can see the interface is coming up, and I'm also creating loopback 1 with an IP address of 1.1.1.1, 255.255.255. I think I mentioned in the topology /32, so I'll mention /32 here. Okay, I'm also doing same thing on interface fast Ethernet 0/0. IP address is 12.1.1.2. Subnet mask 255.255. I think 252. Did I mention 252 there in router 1? Let me just go and check. Now I have given /24. So let just me give 252. So that is fine now. And I'm also going to create a loopback 2 with an IP address of 2.2.2.2 and the subnet mask /32. And also we have one more interface on router 2 which is connecting to router 3, which is fast ethernet 0/1. Let me just configure that also, fast ethernet 0/1, which is having IP addresses for 23.1.1.2. Here you will notice here, just for the naming convention I am using this. Here you will encounter a problem if you are using 252, because 23.1.1.3, if I want to configure on router 3, that will be a broadcast address of that network, which is 23.1.1.0. So here what I'm going to do is I'm just changing it to 248 and no shot. Let me also just change here, it's not /30. Just mention here it's /29 I'm using. Okay, I think this interface is up. Let me go to R3 and I'm configuring interface fast ethernet 0/0. The IP address is 23.1.1.3, 255.255.248. Shot, and I'm creating loopback 3 with an IP address of 3.3.3. So okay, now we will verify whether our interfaces, what are the interfaces. See, I have created a loopback interface, loopback 1 with an IP address of 1.1.1.1. This is up, and I have assigned an IP address of 12.1.1.1. This is up, so that is fine. Let us just check. Here I have created a loopback 2 with an IP address of 2.2.2, and other interfaces I have configured these IP addresses, and these are also up. Show IP interface brief. Here I have created loopback 3, sorry. Loopback 3 I have created. I think that is fine. Now we can just see what are the IP addresses that are there in my routing table. So I have these IP addresses, sorry, these networks in my routing table, and it is pointing as C, which is connected. So these are my connected networks. So I don't have any information about other networks. Say suppose if I want to ping 23.1.1.2 network, which is the router 2's interface IP address, I'm not able to ping that. Okay, but here one thing we can do is, from this loopback I can send traffic to 12. network, which is this interface. This guy will get, but router 2 does not have any information about my one dot network. So I will not receive any reply from that. So let us check this. Debug IPICMP, and I just want to ping 12.1.1.2 sourcing from my loopback 1. If you see that, I am able to receive a request and I am sending traffic. I am sending reply. It is saying reply is sent, but only problem is it doesn't know where the reply it sends, because it doesn't have a route to one dot network. So I will not receive the reply. The pings are failed. If I just configure here exactly what we want, here if I configure the static route to 1.1.1. network, which is I have only one loopback, so I can just give this and I am pointing it out to here you can see I can pointing out to the IP address, the ABCD, which is forwarding router's address, or I can give the interface address, either fast ethernet or the serial interface. So anything I can give if my serial is up. So I'm just giving the forwarding router's address, which is 12.1.1.1. Now if you see, now if I ping with sourcing of loopback 1, my pings are successful. I'm able to send the traffic. Okay. Okay, that is fine. Now we can just go step by step. We just want to see, does one dot my loopback 1, the R1's loopback, I'm saying the R1's loopback has connection to R3. As of now, no. I mean R3's loopback or R3's fast ethernet 0/0 interface, I don't have anything communication. Like say if I want to ping 3.3.3, I'm not able to reach that. This is because I don't have route to this guy, and also I don't have route to reach 3 dot network in my R1's routing table also. So I don't know where exactly to send traffic to reach 3.3.3.3. So as we know from our topology, if I want to send traffic from R1 to R3, I have only interface directly connected is FE0/0 to forwarding IP address of R2's fast ethernet 0/0 interface IP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a static route to 3.3. network 255, and I'm pointing it to router 2's FA0/0 interface, just 12.1.1.2. So now I have a route to reach 3.3.3 network. So from previous example, the previous scenario, we saw that there should be a bidirectional communication or bidirectional routing table. So I don't have a route to 1.1. network here. So I'm just creating a static route for 1.1. network, pointing out to 23.1.1.2, which is R2's FA0/1 interface. Now if you see the IP routing table, the routing table now I have. Now we will check ping. Ping, now we will see that we are getting UUU, which is unreachable. I am not able to reach the particular traffic. So we can just look at that. See, I am getting unreachable from where ICMP, the destination, which is 12.1.1, which is my local interface, and I am receiving it from 12.1.1.2, which is router's fast Ethernet 0/0 interface. Why am I getting this unreachable message? This is because I know that R1 is saying I know to reach 3.3.3, I just want to go to this IP address. Okay, that is going to router 2. But router 2 routing table does not know anything about 3.network. So it cannot send any traffic to 3.3.network. Simply that's why it is saying I cannot reach that traffic. I cannot reach the destination. So it is sending host unreachable message. Okay, so to solve this problem, we also need to create a route pointing to 23.1.1.3, which is router 3's interface address. Now I have, so now if I am sending, still I am not getting any unreachable message. We can look into it. This is how actually you will troubleshoot if you are getting similar kind of problems in your network. See, I am trying to ping 3.3.3. See, echo reply sent. It got the request actually. R3 got the request and it's trying to send the reply. But it is trying to send 12.1.1 because I am sending from 12.1.1 because I am not pointing out any source, so by default it will take this interface IP address, this interface. So I don't have a route. R3 will say I don't have a route to 12.network. See, I don't have a route to 12.network, so I cannot guarantee that the traffic will go exactly to 12.network, even though if I send a reply, if I am trying to send reply. But if I want to send traffic using the source of loopback 1, I am able to reach. Because this guy, the R3, has a route to 1.network, but it doesn't have a route to 12.network. Okay, so to resolve this problem, I am also just creating a static route. I am pointing out to what is that? 23.1.1.2, which is router 2's interface IP. Now I have that. Now I am able to ping. This is what? Okay. Now you see that I am doing an ARP resolution only to this 12.1.1.2, because if I want to go anything like 1 dot network or 3 dot network or 2 dot network, I am going to 12.1.1.2. So first I need to know what is the MAC address for 12.1.1.2. Okay, so now I resolved it. So if I am trying to ping 3 dot network, I don't require address resolution for 3.3 dot network, because I am pointing directly to the forwarding router's address, like show run. If you see our static route, it is saying just go to 12.1.1.2, right? Now what I am going to do is, I just want to show the difference, what exactly difference between pointing out to forwarding router's IP address or pointing out to interface address. So I just removed it. Now I can send whatever the traffic. If I want to reach to 3.3 dot network, I want to send it out this interface. So that is fine for me, because if I want to reach 12.1.1.2, I have to go out of this interface. So instead of saying that, I'm just doing it FA0/0. Okay. Now if you see the routing table, it will just pointing out to the fast Ethernet 0/0 interface. See, directly connected it will say. But in the previous case, it is showing that to reach that network, 3 dot network, just go to 12.1.1.2. Okay. See, now we have address resolution. Previously, if you are trying to ping 3.3.3 also, it's not required. The address resolution is not required for 3.3.3. But here, now if I am sending a traffic, I need address resolution for 3.3.3 network, because I don't know what IP address exactly to go out. I mean, it doesn't have a direct address. So now if you see, we have the ARP for hardware address, but the hardware address of this and the hardware address of 12.1.1.2 are same, because it's simply going out to this interface. But only disadvantage of using the interface is that it will send lot of ARP broadcasts to resolve the MAC address of particular IP. So in the previous case, the forwarding IP address, the forwarding router's address, it doesn't need to ARP for each and every IP address. It's only the ARP required for the address that we are mentioning. That is the only advantage by doing it. I hope this is informed for you. I would like to thank you.